Kanye West recently made news from an interview with Tucker Carlson on a lot of things, but one thing that caught my interest is when he said obesity is demonic, and the way that mainstream society is talking about it is demonic. But here's the thing, Kanye, along with mainstream society, are still missing one big thing when it comes to being overweight and not fulfilling your potential. And I'm going to tell you what that is, and I'm going to tie it in with a story that started in 1944. So, is obesity demonic? Well, if we think about the 7 deadly sins, then, gluttony is one of those. But we're not going to turn this into a spiritual conversation, because as I said beforehand, there's a big point that Kanye, mainstream society big time, and even the health industry is missing when it comes to obesity and the big issue with that. And it's a concept that you may have not heard of, and it is called nutritional memory. I know, what the hell is nutritional memory? Well, we had to start by thinking about epigenetics. And as you know, epigenetics is where DNA, our genes, do not change, but the way that those genes can express themselves, that is epigenetics. Think of the hardware. Epigenetics is the software, and that programs the hardware what to do. Same thing with our body. And a big part of that is with our nutrition. And obesity can be a trait that is passed down. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to become obese, but it does give you a higher probability of that. And that is a key part of when I talk about generational health. You can pass these kind of things down. And an example is in 1944 to 1945, there was the infamous, maybe not so famous, maybe I'm just a nerd, but there was the Dutch famine, the Dutch winter hunger, whichever way you want to call it. And there was a study on this, and that individuals who were exposed to famine and were not given key nutrients during that time, their children that came after them, the unborn children at that time, were affected multiple generations after. And that is because a key point during pregnancy is if you do not have the key nutrients, you set that kid up for some of his genes to be silenced. 2 of those that are connected to obesity is the IGF-1 and IGF-2 genes. And those genes right there, along with other propensities when you have famine, led to, when we studied these individuals later on. Now, follow me here. These are the individuals who are the offspring of the individuals who experienced the famine. They had a higher incidence of heart disease, higher incidence of a discombobulated lipid profile, meaning the lipid profile, your cholesterol, was all out of sorts. Blood coagulation issues, a increased stress response, meaning that when you dealing with a stressful situation, they don't have as much resilience, and so that's going to spike their cortisol. And higher levels of cortisol can be one of the causes to weight gain. So you got to remember, as I always say, it's a system. And so obesity is not just about just eating and not getting off the couch and being inactive. It's a whole host of things. And lastly, insulin sensitivity. And when you think of insulin sensitivity, of course, that leads to blood sugar problems. Of course, that leads to diabetes, and diabetes can lead to other all sorts of issues down the line. It's all one interconnected system. Now, I know you're saying obesity, you're talking about pregnant women right now. Well, men, same thing too, because it takes 2 to tango. Your sperm also plays a part with your future offspring and determining what type of genes that kid's going to have. And so, are there obesity genes? Absolutely. There are obesity genes. When I do a genetic report for someone, some people have these genes. Doesn't mean that you're going to be obese. No, not at all. But what it does mean is that maybe you have a higher propensity for obesity if you do not take the right lifestyle measures, or maybe weight is harder for certain people. We have different body types. We have, in the traditional world, we call them mesomorphs, endomorphs, ectomorphs. If you're more into the ancient world, there are kaphas, vatas, pittas. So different people, some people have struggled with losing weight more than others. That's absolutely true. But so this is one part. This is the scientific part about obesity and how it's influencing our genes. That what you do today can influence multiple generations that come after you. So you're not just eating for yourself, you're eating for people that come far after you. How's it going? You're eating for people that come far after you. So what you do today has a ripple effect for generations to come, long after we're gone. Now, if it's up to me, we got a long time here, but whenever that time comes, multiple people after us will thank us for taking care of our health. There's generational health. And there's generational habits that we're doing by exercising, taking care of our sleep, taking care of our stress, having loving, nurturing relationships. But the second part here now, this is the big picture. And why is society celebrating, well, let's backtrack real quick. Society talks about body positivity and just loving yourself and that. And the reason why they do this, it robs us of our potential. It's a slow anesthetic that over time slowly wears us down, numbs us, robs us of our potential, robs us of who we could be. That's the scary thing with the way society's going now. Everything's comfortable now. You don't have to leave the house if you don't want. Your food and everything can come there. And so is obesity demonic? I don't know. The way that it's celebrated, and it could be, if it's gluttony, absolutely. But I'm looking deeper than that and seeing that the way things are going now, people telling us it's okay to be X and X pounds overweight, and that that is healthy too. It's just robbing us of our potential. It's taking us away from personal excellence. It's making us more reliant on the system. The same people. Why do you think that people want to tell you it's okay? They can sell to you. You can consume, and they can keep getting richer and richer and living a better life, while everybody else, has nothing. Poor health. They stay in the system. Because once you get in the medical care system, it's very hard to get out a lot of times. Because they start throwing pills to you left and right. It's a vicious system. So the best thing you can do when you think about overweight, when you think about your health, six-pack's cool. Having muscles is cool. But we all have different motivators. And I just think about 100 years from now, there's a lot of people that could be affected positively or negatively by what you do today and the next day and the next week and the next years and the years to come. That's awesome. And that's what generational health is about. So it's a bigger picture. It's a bigger picture. So don't get lost in the surface level material that people have you talk about. This thing of health, of course, is about looking good, feeling good, and being confident. But it's about personal excellence. It's about personal excellence. And leaving the world a better place than it was. You don't have to be a Gandhi or anything. You can leave the world a better place by being your best version that you can be. And that starts with your health. And then your offspring, and then their offspring will be positively affected, both most likely financially and on a cellular level. So stay awesome, be limitless, and as always, go be the CEO of your health and life. Peace.